Hello and welcome to today's class. Today we are talking about necklines and how to finish them. If today is the first time you're watching our videos, I would advise that you subscribe so that you'll be notified when a video is uploaded. So let's carry on. In talking about necklines, there are different types of necklines, but I'm going to be talking today about the asymmetrical neckline, the boat neckline, the cowl neckline, the collared neckline, square neckline, round neckline, the scoop neckline, V neckline, keyhole neckline, and then the sweetheart neckline. So I'm talking about 10 necklines, but there are numerous necklines. Let me emphasize here and say that necklines are meant to enhance the human figure. It should be able to complement your shoulder and the length of your neck as well as your face. So I'll be mentioning all of that as I go along. I'm going to start with the asymmetric neckline. So the asymmetric neckline is what you call the one-off or one shoulder neckline. So you see that the neckline has only one shoulder, and then the other side of the shoulder is cut off like that. So you only see this shoulder, and then the other shoulder hasn't got any neckline there or any sleeve there. So it's only the one shoulder that you see, the other shoulder is cut off. That is asymmetrical neckline. That neckline enhances the shoulder. So if you have a broad shoulder, or if you have a beautiful shoulder you want to show, you can use the asymmetric neckline. You can also use it when you have a long neck and you want to, or a beautiful neck and you want to draw emphasis to your neck, you can use that neckline. Usually the asymmetric neckline or the one shoulder neckline works beautiful on a plain fabric. So if you want to be doing the asymmetric neckline, it's best for you to do it on a plain fabric and not a pattern fabric. The reason is the plain fabric enhances the neckline area, so you're able to see the beauty in the neckline. So that is it for the asymmetric neckline. My next neckline I'll be talking about will be the boat neckline. And the boat neckline, as you can see, this is the boat neckline. This is one presentation of the boat neckline, and it's also called a bateau. So depending on how you want to call it. Another presentation of the boat neckline, you see that is wider like this, and it extends onto your shoulder area. So you see it going this way. So the neckline is wider. So from one shoulder to the next, you can see that it's a wider shoulder, and that is called the boat neckline. This type of neckline, it flatters the neck of the wearer and it draws attention to the shoulder and to the lower part of the neck. So if that is your intention, or that is a look you want to create in the garment, you go for the boat neckline. This sits just below the lower neck of the wearer. So as you can see here, it cuts just below the lower neck of the wearer, or the collarbone of the wearer, and it balances out with wider hip. So if you have a very wide hip like that, this way, because the way the neckline is cut, it balances out with wider hips. So if you are looking at trying to draw attention away from your hip, when you use this neckline, people focus on the neckline, drawing the attention away from your wider hips, and it actually balances out with wider hips. And also it balances out a narrow face. So if you have a narrow face and you are thinking of what neckline will suit the kind of figure you have, then boat neckline is one of the necklines you should be looking at. So my next neckline I'll be talking about is the cowl neckline, and as you can see here, this is the cowl neckline. So the cowl neckline, which is this I'm talking about, usually have drapes in the front of the garment, as you can see, and you get a better presentation of it when you use a softer fabric in cutting this kind of neckline, a stretch fabric or a knit fabric to cut this kind of neckline. You get the drape, you get the drape. So the cowl neckline also flatters all sorts of body shape. It doesn't matter what kind of shape you have or figure you have. The cowl neckline, it flatters all sorts of body shape. and a drape of the fabric falls according to the texture and the weight of the fabric. So in choosing this kind of neckline, you should consider the weight of the fabric and the texture of the fabric in mind. You should put that in mind, knowing that you only have a perfect and a beautiful drape when the fabric you're using to cut this kind of neckline is soft, is knitted, it stretches, then you'll be able to cut it. Usually it's cut on a bias. So we'll get to that neckline and proper presentation of it in the actual thing, seeing me do it, but I want to talk about it for now. So that goes for the cowl neckline. Now I'll be talking about the colored neckline. So the colored neckline is that neckline that you would have a Peter Pan. You'll see a Peter Pan color on it, or any of those colors on it. So that is the colored neckline, which I'll be talking about next. And the colored neckline feature has a color set on the neckline, so you can have any color set on the neckline. You can have a Peter Pan, you can even have it like that and have like a V color on the neckline. Neckline draws attention away from the bust area. So if, like I said earlier, fashion actually either enhances the body or it makes the body look beautiful. If there are areas of your body that you want to hide or you want to enhance, then you use fashion. And when you use fashion in the right way, actually your figure will not even be noticed if there is something you are trying to hide or trying to enhance. You don't only hide what we think we don't like, you can always enhance it. So everybody's figure is perfect. There is nothing like a perfect figure, not a perfect figure, because if you think it's not a perfect figure, you can always use fashion to enhance it. So the colored neckline draws attention away from the bust. So if you have a bigger bust or a smaller bust, or you're not too comfortable with your bust and you're trying to draw attention away from the bust area, you use these necklines because they are beautiful. It just catches the eye of the people rather looking at the color and not at your bust area. And it can be rounded or it can be pointed. It can also be asymmetrical. You can have it at different heights, and usually you'd have buttons in front of it, or sometimes it comes without a button in front or at the top bodies. You don't have buttons in front of it, whichever way you choose to look at it. But it's a beautiful presentation for necklines. So the next neckline I'll be talking about is the round neckline. It is also called the crew neckline or the crew neck. And this is a basic neckline. It's seen in most garments and it's used every figure. Actually, every figure is used many different body shapes. And it's a very common neckline, type of neckline, like I said. The crew neckline or the round neckline, it minimizes the amount of chest showing, and it gives the idea of a shorter neck and a fuller chest area. So if you don't have a full bust or you don't have a big bust and you want to actually enhance your bust area, you can be going for the crew neck or the round neck. It also gives the idea of a shorter neck. So if you have a longer neck and you want to actually take some part of the length of your neck off, when you use the round neckline, because it's not a deep scoop one, it gives an idea of a shorter neck. So once I'm talking about the round neckline, let me go on straight to what they call the scoop, or a longer version of the round neckline. So for the scoop, you'd see that this round is much deeper, as you can see it here. So it's a much deeper version of the round, and this shows more of your bust area. It will show your your cleavage and all of that. It opens up the neck area and is shaped more like a U. So if you are looking at having a deeper neckline part, then you'll be going for this neckline. It's wider and it flatters everyone. So the neckline shows off the collarbone, and it's a beautiful neckline if you're looking at drawing attention to your bust area. If you have a bigger bust or a beautiful bust and you want to draw attention to it, and then you'll be looking at the scoop for that matter. So the next neckline I'll be talking about is the square neckline, or the pot, as people call it. And this gives an illusion of a longer neck. So if you have a shorter neck and you want to create an illusion of a longer neck, this is what you should be going for. And you can see that the square shows much or a lot of flesh up here. So if your neckline is short, looking at it travel from here to here actually gives you a longer neck, if that is the look you're actually looking for. And the square is contrast to all the curves. So this is also a beautiful neckline, a retro style neckline style, if you're looking at going for that. The next thing I'll also talk about is the V neckline, which is quite also, you know, as you can see here, also a very lovely neckline. This complements the neck area. This also gives length to a shorter neck. So if you have a shorter neck and you're thinking of making or creating an illusion of a longer neck, a V neckline is also good. It's suitable for most figures, and it flatters the body as well. The V neckline also balances out a wider shoulder, you know, because of the shape of the neckline. It rather draws the eye inwards, and it places less emphasis on the wider shoulder. So if you have a wider shoulder and you don't want to draw too much attention to it, when you use a V neckline, it draws the attention to the V rather than to the shoulder. So as I said earlier, the necklines are actually used to enhance our body types, and when used properly, you see that you always come out with a very beautiful look and a beautiful garment that suits your body perfectly. Okay, the last neckline I'll be talking about will be the sweetheart neckline. So the sweetheart neckline is very flattering, and it's a great way to show off natural curves and enhance the bust. Okay, it's just it has a very sweet neckline appeal to it. So the sweet neckline, let me see if I can locate it here. So that's the sweetheart neckline. You know, the sweetheart neckline, it goes like that. It goes like this. You know. So that is the this neckline, and that is a presentation here for the sweetheart neckline. You usually, sometimes you cut the upper bust off, so you have it like in a bustier. Okay, all of that is called the sweetheart neckline. So you see it more in bridal wears and quite formal wears a lot for the sweetheart neckline. I think the very last one I'll be talking about will be the keyhole neckline, and then we'll be done with it, and then we'll go straight into finishing of the neckline. So the sweetheart neckline is like that, and you'd see like a keyhole in front of the garment like that. So the keyhole neckline don't really suit fuller figures, like heavier bust figures. It doesn't suit them unless you want to show the cleavage, then you go for it, but it's not too suitable for people with bigger busts, you know. And the keyhole neckline offers different opportunities to flatter the chest, and it adds like a jewel-like opening to the neck area. And this can either be narrow, you know, the keyhole can either be narrow or it can be broad, depending on what look you're looking for actually. But it's one key thing to keep in mind is it doesn't suit bigger bust figures unless you're looking at going for showing your cleavage. Then by all means go for it. So we've come to the end of the necklines I want to be talking about in this session, and we go on to how to finish off the neckline. So for all the necklines I've mentioned today, we can finish them in two different ways. You either finish a neckline with a bias strip or with a facing. So there are two ways of finishing the necklines, and we'll be doing a few of them today for you to actually see how to finish off necklines with bias strip and how to finish off necklines with facing.